Okay, we're good?
Yep.
All right. Hello, this is Emily Bacon, and welcome to the Olive Press. You're doing what?
I'll be in the other room.
Okay,
I was trying to
great.
say.
Thanks. I can't read lips. I'm also not deaf, so. Okay, so I am joined by my friend Katheryn Weller. Welcome
Thanks.
to my kitchen. We're not in the baby room anymore because we actually got a kitchen table, so.
Nice.
Yeah, it's
I
actually
remember
from Walmart.
that.
Yeah.
I think it was like a couple years after we got married, we got our first kitchen table.
Yeah, I know. We had one and then we gave it away and then we were like, well, now we need one because Gianna actually eats at the table now. So we're like, we might as well get one, you know? So, yeah. So, I'm going to turn this up a little bit actually. Is that up? Is that good? Yeah. Okay. That's great. Okay. So, you kind of know what this is all about, this podcast.
Yeah.
Have you listened to any of them?
I did, yeah.
Okay. So. If you didn't, I wouldn't have been offended. They're pretty long, so you know. But anyway, just tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm just thinking about your other podcasts, but yeah, just talk about like my life as a mom kind of thing.
Yeah. Just kind of like, I feel like people, like moms especially, don't talk about their life. You know, like all the struggles that they have, like. It's pretty rare, I think, that we get to vent and actually get it all out there, you know. So that's kind of why I started it, was like have moms. I mean, if you want alcohol, you can. I'm not like, about that, you know, but like, you know, just kind of letting it go, kind of just embracing the chaos a little bit. And also, I mean, I think a lot of moms, they connect a lot of times, you know, and they don't even know it.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So it's kind of like a connecting type thing too. So yeah.
Well, I guess I kind of wrote down some ideas, but
cool.
Just I guess I should start with moving up here. I think because that really made a big difference in my life. I grew up in Sacramento, California.
Yeah.
And big family. There's 11 of us. Actually, the last one was born after I had moved out. So
who was that?
Isaac.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He just turned 6.
Really?
So, yeah.
Whoa.
And
wait. So.
Yeah.
Wow.
The day he was born is the day Donnie and I got engaged, which is kind of cool.
What?
Yeah. It was so awesome. We were at. This is kind of jumping forward in our story, but we were at. We went to Adoration on Tuesday, like we usually did when we were dating and engaged, and went out to dinner at Sherry's.
Oh, I love Sherry's.
I got a text from my dad, I think during Adoration, and I think I had some kind of communication before that. Like my mom was like, I think I'm having contractions, something's going on. Anyway, so I was like totally checking my phone through Adoration because I was just worried about her, and she's high risk, and then he's like, yeah, we're going in, we're doing the cesarean, emergency cesarean.
Whoa.
So I was like, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm just going to wait.
Right.
And so Donnie's like, nervous about all of it. It's just such a funny story, but I feel like I should come back to it. Anyway, so I grew up in California, and then my dad, just worked so hard to support a big Catholic family so that my mom could stay home.
What did he do?
He was a teacher.
Oh, wow. Cool.
So he started out as a public school teacher.
Oh, yikes.
And he kind of knew, I think that just wasn't going to work out with the public schools.
Well, especially now. I mean,
being like traditional Catholic and stuff. But he ended up getting, fun fact, actually, before schools had to teach exclusively in English, he taught bilingual.
Oh, really?
Like,
wow.
I don't know, early grades, like kindergarten, first grade, something like that.
Like
so
Spanish?
Spanish and English.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, because where we were, there were a lot of migrant families and stuff, so it's kind of cool.
Wow.
You'd never know.
No, I mean, when you look at your dad, you're like...
blonde white guy.
This dude's normal. Well, okay, don't take that the wrong way. Like, he doesn't look like he would be bilingual.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. Dang.
So, and then he started working for Colby Academy. they are they have some good homeschool curriculum too, but they have a little academy, and
Nice.
I don't know if it's in or near Fairfield in California. And he discovered the Latin Mass while he was there. I think it was one of the priests that would say Mass there. He would say the Latin Mass sometimes.
Okay.
So he experienced that, and then he's like, oh, this is really cool.
So was it like mostly Novus Ordo except for like a couple of masses he did?
I think so. And this was like when I was 5. So I'm
okay.
like,
okay.
not exactly sure on all the facts, but I know that's where he kind of found it.
Dang.
And then he found out that there was an actual the fraternity of St. Peter was in Sacramento, and they didn't have their church yet. They were
St.
sharing.
Anne's, right?
I think they were at St. Rose.
Oh, okay.
St. Rose of Lima, I believe that's where they were, because I remember going there. No, I don't think it was St. Rose. I think it was actually Immaculate Conception. I can't remember
Was
the name
it
of the church.
SSPX or was
No,
it?
it was,
it was
SSP. Yeah, we actually had Father Terra.
You did?
Yeah,
What?
I know, and he's like up
Small
here, so
world.
it's like it's so funny how he's back up here. So my sister Isabel was actually the first one baptized in the Latin form, like traditional form, and Father Terra's the one who did it. So
What?
kind of cool.
So did you guys like expect him to move up here, or like
No.
were you surprised that he was here? Like you just ran into him and were like, "What are you
Well,
doing?"
we heard he was getting transferred up here to minister to the nuns, and
Yeah,
we
yeah.
just were like, "Oh, that's so cool! He's coming back
Wow.
up here." And
Small world.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, the Catholic world is pretty small.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even know that people know each other. You know, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome. So.
Yeah.
So how long was he your pastor for? Or was he your pastor? Or?
I don't know that. I think he might have been. Well, it was tricky because we didn't have our own church yet.
Oh.
But they did. I think within the year that we started attending, and we were driving quite a ways to get there.
Mhm.
So we ended up moving to Sacramento area, and then the church, they found a church, so they had their own
Okay.
church. It was this
Yeah.
old Methodist church, I guess.
St.
And,
Anne's was?
remodel St. Stephen's.
Oh, St.
Used
Stephen's.
to
That's what
be.
I meant.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the one in San Diego.
Okay, yeah, that's
okay.
San Diego.
So
So-
wait, St. Stephen's was a Methodist church?
Yeah, it used to be. I think it was a
Ooh.
Methodist church.
That's
Yeah.
it's so perfect for a Catholic church. Like,
I know. Well,
How?
I mean, what it looked like before. I mean, it had this
Oh.
weird like orange carpet and
Oh.
like, you know, like very
ew,
different
gaudy.
architecture. And so we were in the church for a short time, and then had to raise the money to remodel it.
Mm.
And there was actually a parishioner who put a lot of did a lot in terms of the design, and
Wow.
I believe she even made some of the statues that are there. It was
That's
amazing.
crazy.
Just and I was so little when all this happened.
Yeah.
I was in the first communion class at that church.
Wow.
So
What a legacy.
yeah,
Dang.
it's so cool. I was so little. I let's see. So there must have been 4 of us kids, but my poor mom, my dad's like, we gotta go. She's like, okay, well, let's try it out. So
Yeah.
Sacramento can be pretty hot when
Yeah.
when it gets to be summertime.
Ugh.
So it was Palm Sunday high mass with the
Oh
procession and
my
everything. Like one of the longest masses you could have chosen for like the whole year.
Yuck.
She's
I mean,
like-
not yuck, but you know.
But she didn't understand anything. She's like, what is it? I don't understand anything. She's got 4 little kids, or
Oh.
3. Maybe it was only 3 of us at that point. Yeah, 3 little kids. She might have been pregnant with Isabel, and just like it was hard. And then she finally found the Latin English translation, and
good.
then that helped her like understand what this is, and just
Yeah.
she really fell in love with it, and
Oh.
she'd never it was a whole process, and I'm really blessed that I got to just kind of grow up in that.
Yeah. So where were you guys before that? Were you in the Novus Ordo or?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I mean, it's a nice one. I mean, if you find a good
If you
Novus
find a good
Ordo,
one. Yeah.
you know.
Unfortunately, we had a really bad one.
Shucks.
we
But that made the Latin Mass so much more beautiful, I think. You know,
Yes.
going from that. Like, we went from St. Thomas to St. Joan of Arc. You know, so it
Right.
wasn't like a huge step up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you're going from, like, practically Protestant,
Yeah, dancing down the aisle and all this
I
good
mean,
stuff.
and that's not condemnation on like Novus Ordo. It's just sometimes there are liberties that are taken. You know.
Yeah,
But
unfortunately.
there are some good ones out there. But yeah, no, the Latin Mass, I mean, in my opinion, everybody has their own opinion. I like it the best. I just feel
Me
closer
too.
to God.
I do feel like that it's proper to give God the absolute best in terms of glorification and beauty and everything. And I feel like the Latin Mass does a very good job of that.
Yeah, one of the things that I just love the most is like the incense.
Yeah.
Like if I'm not choking on the smoke, I don't want it. Like you fill that entire sanctuary and I will be happy.
Yes.
like I barely even want to see the priest. I just want to smell the incense and smell like it for like 2 days.
Yeah.
Even if I shower. Yeah.
It's so true. I remember getting a new veil and just like, oh, it's funny. My veil doesn't smell like incense.
Yeah.
Like you're so used to it.
I use like a, sometimes I don't wear a veil because Gianna likes to rip it off, you know. So
It's difficult.
It's a little bit
With the
easier
little
to
one.
just snot, you know, but sometimes I wear like just the scarf, you know. It's a little easier. I like it a little better, you know.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me feel more close to Our Lady,
Yeah.
you know, because that's kind of similar to how she would have worn hers. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I like it. But yeah, to each his own. By the way, your kids are like so well behaved in Mass. I'm jealous.
Oh, that's
of you.
Donnie. Oh my goodness.
I
Well,
might need Donnie to like tell us how to do that because I'm like, you sit down right now, and Gianna is just like, okay.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Couldn't do it without Donnie. There's something about like you've got to have Dad just like lay down the rules.
The
It's
law.
like this is how it goes.
Yeah.
And it's hard as a mom. Like I bring the kids to daily Mass during the week,
Oh, you
about
do?
twice a week maybe, and
Yeah.
it's totally different. Like they just don't listen to Mom the way they do Dad.
Yeah.
But the fact that he is so on top of it on Sunday helps
So
during the
much, I
week,
bet.
and it's a steady progress forward. It's so good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so glad that he, even though he misses out on stuff,
Yeah.
he just stays on top of it, and it helps the discipline so much when I take them during for daily Mass, and
Right.
it's good.
So okay, so I guess, do you want to get back to your story? Or
Yeah, I
do you-
guess I should.
I mean, we can go on tangents. I'm good with talking about anything. Like,
Yeah. Well, I'll just
whatever
try
you
to
wanna
run
talk
through it.
about.
But so that's where I got to grow up, is St. Stephen the First Martyr Parish.
Yeah.
And then my dad realized that California isn't where he was going to be able to stay to support a family like that.
Right.
Well, especially with he ended up moving to a charter school after Colby Academy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Especially after they moved up to Sacramento.
I also just want to say there's screaming in the background.
That's okay.
That's my kids, you know. So.
I actually don't hear anything.
Oh, good. I mean, I'm like, my ear is like in tune for it. It's
Oh,
like,
I think
like
there's actually like
radar.
research that says a mom's ear somehow can recognize her baby through like a whole crowd of people talking.
Yeah.
Like you just know.
It's crazy. And like even I think they did a study where it's like, this is a tangent, but anyway, they did a study where it's like they wrapped a baby in a blanket and they had like a panel of babies and they all had an identical blanket, and they presented them to a group of moms, and the moms could pick out the blanket that their baby was wrapped in.
That's so crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, Finnegan smells like vomit all the time, so I think I probably would know. I'd be like, oh, there's the vomit stain. It's like a deluge.
Oh my goodness.
All the time.
Oh no.
I can't believe he's like fat now. It's like he's
so
obviously
cute.
getting something. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah.
so you guys moved. When did you guys move up here?
Well, first my family did.
Okay.
They kind of had to do. It was a process because my parents actually adopted 4 kids. And they're all from the same parents.
Oh,
So
nice.
they're biological siblings.
Oh, they are.
The 4 of them. Yeah.
I did not
Mhm.
know that. I
Yeah.
was like, they look alike,
I
you
know.
know, but maybe it's just because they're cute. Like,
Well, when I was 11, we brought home Angelica on the feast of St. Michael, the Archangel, and on September 29th. And her name is Angelica Michelle, Archangel Michael.
That's amazing.
It's really beautiful. So I just remember that she was 5 months old that day, and just I was like, oh, this is my baby. I was 11. Like, this is my baby girl. She actually called me mom sometimes growing up. It's just so sweet.
Aww.
It was such a blessing to get her. And then a few years later, some social workers called us and they said, well, Angelica has 3 more siblings, and we want to know if you would like to take them, because we like to try to keep the siblings together.
Yeah.
And so that's what happened. We kind of had to go through a few things to try to get that to happen, because California had just passed a law that if you have 6 children in the home, you cannot adopt. And that we had, 5. And so getting the 3 boys put us over this limit. And so our social workers were really wonderful, actually. They wanted to keep the siblings together, and and I think it was God's will that it happened. And I'm so glad that we have these.
So what are the other 3? Because I've met them. I just always forget
So,
their names.
well, Angelica's, she's like almost 17 now, but the other 3, Gerard is, he's 13. Leo, I think he's 11. He's very short. I actually always think he's like a year younger than me. So I think he's 11 now. He just had a birthday. And Charlie's 9.
Wow. Wait,
So-
Angelica's almost 17?
Yeah.
That freaks me out.
I know, me too.
I love that kid.
I know.
She is, what?
Yeah.
Okay, she's always going to be like 13 in my mind. Like someday she's going to get married or become a nun, and I'm like, no, you're not old enough.
Yep, I know.
You never
Well,
will be old enough.
When my family moved up here, they were in this process of, they had to finalize the adoption. You can't move out of state until that's done. And I think it was like a day or 2 after it was finalized, they hit the road. My parents had already come up here and kind of scouted out the place and found
Coeur
a rental.
d'Alene, or was it?
Well, they went near Sandpoint.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they got a rental up there first, which I think was great, because they were thinking they wanted to be further out from town, but they realized with my dad starting his general contracting business that he needed to be closer to town, just for logistics of his work and everything, being closer to where all the work is.
So your dad's kind of a double-edged sword there. Or not double-edged sword, but what's
like,
the saying? Like, he's
a man of many talents.
Yeah,
for
it
sure.
seems like it, because, I mean, general contractor. Like,
From teacher. Yes.
Oh my gosh. What the heck?
I know. It's amazing, but I cannot, like, I don't know if I could describe the change that happened just seeing him coming from the stress of working in the school system and all the moral issues that were happening there, and coming here and starting a business in something that he was happier doing, loves doing, and he's just totally different person. It's still so stressful starting your own business, and that was a big deal. But I think he's gotten a good role right now.
Kind of a good groove.
Yeah, and
wow.
It's amazing. I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy for my family to be here, that my younger little siblings get to grow up here. And I mean, I was in junior college when they decided to move up, still living at home, and I wanted to finish out my school year. And so I moved to
Gianna.
It's like she's talking. I decided to move in with my grandparents, my dad's parents.
In California.
Okay. Yeah, to finish out my semester. And I don't even know how this happened, but I ended up, I think it was my aunt. My auntie is an alum of Gonzaga University in Spokane, Washington, which is right across the border from here. She said something about Gonzaga University, and I was trying to transfer somewhere for a degree in music. Yeah. I'm a harpist. I've been playing since the age of 6.
That's amazing.
I love it. It's such a gift. And so I actually flew up here to meet the herb teacher and everything, and I ended up transferring to Gonzaga. Not because my parents moved up here or anything. I was
Just
like,
'cause you liked
just
it.
because I was like, well, I think this will work out. This might
Dang.
be what I wanted. And it's it's so funny because I lasted a year and I was like, this is not where I want to be.
At Gonzaga?
No. Yeah. I was like, nope, this is not
no.
where I want to be. I'm not gonna. And I realized that I also didn't want to finish out a degree in music just because of where I wanted to go with it. I didn't really see myself being like a Fairlawn water harpist or something like that. I wasn't like, and that's what a degree would have helped with and stuff. So, you know, I was kind of searching, I think, for what I was meant to do. And since I had come up here, I was visiting my family a lot because they were not that far away. It's like a 45-minute drive. And I'd go to church with them at St. Joan of Arc. And it was really, it's like, so, you know, when you're in a toxic relationship, you come out of it and you realize how bad it was. That's what it was like leaving California.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I had every intention of going back.
Oh.
It's like, that's where all my friends are. I'm going to go back. This is the way it's going to be.
Well, so didn't Melanie move up with you?
Well, no, she didn't. She came up later.
Oh.
And I didn't even actually know her that well. But
For anybody that, we shared a roommate.
Yeah.
But we were never roommates ourselves, like with each other.
Like,
both Melanie. Shout out to Melanie.
Yeah. So, I think in the second semester, or maybe even towards the beginning of the second semester of that 1 year, I had basically decided I'm going to finish out the semester.
Yeah.
And that's it. I'd also started getting these chronic shoulder and arm issues with, and I don't know, I still haven't found out why it's happening. Yep. It's still like it spasms. It gets pretty tight in my right side of my neck and shoulder. And that was seriously interfering with being able to play the harp. And it still does.
Did you go to like an orthopedic specialist for it?
I've gone to specialists. I've been to physical therapy. I've had an MRI done. I've had a lot done. We can't really figure out why it's happening.
Oh.
Still hopeful that we'll find out.
Maybe we'll have to find a miracle or something.
Yeah.
Jeez. Oh
I kind of I feel like it's not quite as bad. I'll get to that. But that was a major contributing factor to not continuing the harp because it was interfering with being able to continue. And you need to practice hours a day, and you have so much you have to do. Be able to move this thing around too. It's like taller than me.
Huge. Yeah,
it's huge.
How much does that thing weigh?
It's actually about 85 pounds.
That's it?
And I know, but it's very top heavy. With all the mechanisms.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so it tips over easily if you just hit it just right. It's never happened to me, thankfully.
That'd be expensive.
Yes, it would be. So I decided I didn't want to leave this area after I had moved up here. I'd really fallen in love with it, and I could see that it would just be better for me not to go.
Sorry.
Like, no, it's okay.
I'm laughing at you.
It's really cute.
It's something else like. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. Please, no, don't feel bad. Just it's little kids. So I just knew I wasn't supposed to leave here.
Yeah.
And I knew that spiritually it would be a bad idea for me to go back to California. There was, and all those friends, like, I kind of kept in touch with them a little bit, but they weren't lifelong friends. And I realized that happens, and that's okay.
Yeah. And
they were part of growing up, and yeah, that's okay.
There's a season for everything.
Yes. Yeah. And so our mutual friend Melanie ended up contacting me because she had been wanting to move up, and she moved in with me for the last couple months that I was in Spokane, and then we found a rental in Idaho together, and then her other sisters started following her up.
Monica, was it Monica first or Mary first?
I think it might have been, I can't remember who came up. I think it might have been Mary. I can't remember. Because I actually didn't end up staying with them for very long because I met Donnie.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So
that's right.
I was just kind of working and working in Coeur d'Alene and kind of at a loss of what to do, trying to discern, praying for a future husband.
So you knew that. Sorry.
Yeah. Essentially, I think I know what you're gonna knew that I wanted to get married. Yeah. I pretty much did. I guess I didn't know for sure. It wasn't like this. I'm phlegmatic, and there was this talk that I heard a priest give. He's like, "You phlegmatic. Sometimes God's just gonna have you decide. It's like if you're going to be a nun or you're going to get married." Here I am, phlegmatic. I have such a terrible time making decisions sometimes. It was.
I remember that one.
Well, and it's funny. It's because I was like, God, you just need to tell me what to do. Tell me what to do. Give me the sign. Give me a sign. And it wasn't happening. So I'm like, it's just kind of going along. And a friend of mine had been working out at a personal gym run by a parishioner. And I went there, I think it was the first day I went just to kind of try it out. I went with my brother, one of my brothers, and I met Donnie and one of his sisters.
The first day?
I think it was the first day, or maybe like the second time we were there. I can't even remember the date, which is terrible. I wish I could remember those things,
Wow.
What's the date I met my husband? It's kind of a special date, but I don't remember the date.
Okay, that gym is magical because after I started working out there, I met Teddy.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, it's funny because I met Donnie, and I don't know what it was about him. I had gone out with a couple guys before. There was a non-Catholic guy, and after that experience, very short, couple weeks, I just knew I had to marry someone Catholic or I wasn't going to stay Catholic.
Oh, he wasn't Catholic?
Yeah, this guy I'd gone out with previously back in California. I just knew I would not be able to stay Catholic. There was no way. And I just prayed, God, please send me someone who's Catholic because I'm not strong enough.
Yeah.
I need a strong Catholic man.
Wow.
I did go out on a date with a guy at Gonzaga, and he was a nice guy, but we just kind of knew, this is not quite. And I remember telling my mom, I need somebody who is can get mud on his boots and carry a gun. I think I need someone more like that. And then I met Donnie.
Wow. God was listening.
I think so.
Writing a list.
Because he is the strongest Catholic that I know. And he's a Marine.
Yeah. Literal boots.
Talk about getting mud on your boots and carrying a gun.
Oh, wow.
He's so strong in his faith.
Dang.
He will drag us through everything.
That dude, man.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
I told our friend who ran the personal gym, Nate. I told Nate to tell Donnie to ask me out.
What?
And I was like, and don't tell him that I said that. Well, evidently it comes out later after we'd been going out, so I guess it obviously worked. But evidently I found out later he just showed him the text.
Nate.
Yeah, he just was like, Donnie, you should look at this. And but it worked, I guess.
Yeah.
So he did. He asked me out. Melanie, our friend, and Donnie's sister, Bridget, who I had started hanging out with, who I had met that same day. They threw me a surprise birthday party at Donnie's house.
Oh.
And with all the young adults that we had been hanging out with from church. And he asked, he's like, so I think, do you want to go get coffee one day or whatever? He was trying to be so nonchalant. It was funny. It's like, yeah, sure, that'd be great.
Wow.
So we did. We went out to coffee and.
Was it Grumpy Monkey?
No, it's actually Calypso's. I think it's called Calypso's, right?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
It's called Life now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not sure why we went down there.
So what was your first impression of him on your first date?
Well, he was so nervous. It was so funny.
What?
He was really nervous, actually.
Donnie.
Yeah, but so was I.
Oh, okay.
And it was so funny. I was going in just knowing I wanted to find my future husband. So I wasn't just like, I didn't want to go out on a date with him just because, just for fun.
Right.
I was actually like serious about it. So, he had decided he was just going to tell me about himself, and he thought for sure I would just decide that's it. I'm not going to go out with this guy ever again. Like, it's kind of sad. I know, a little bit sad. He just thought there's no way this nice girl's going to want to go out with me ever again. But I didn't, that was not the impression I got. I was like, oh, I think he's a nice guy. He's obviously, I think he's serious about his faith. And
he's one of the more serious people.
Wasn't perfect, I don't know, at some point, but that he's come, I can tell he's come a long way. And it's like just all these, I don't know. I could see someone who could persevere.
Yeah.
And I had a good faith, and I thought that was worth trying out. So
yeah, I love Donnie.
Yeah.
He's so great. I'm like when I met Teddy, I'm like, oh man, I wonder what Donnie's gonna think. Like I just think of Donnie's opinion so highly, you know, like he's just like the dad of all of us.
Like I it's crazy, this guy. I mean, he's friends with everybody, whether he's met them before or not.
I know. He like just starts talking to people. Like
he's so extroverted.
Love that guy.
It's crazy, and I'm not really. I'm a little more I'm like halfway phlegmatic.
I think that's called an ambivert. What? Something like that.
Like a phlegmatic extrovert?
Well, like half
weird.
Introverted, half extroverted.
Yeah, it depends on. Sometimes I am. Like some days I'm like, no, I don't want to go outside my door. Like, no.
I feel like maybe that's just like. I feel like a lot of people are like that, or like I am at least.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just like.
But I recharge like instantly.
Oh, nice.
Like some of those introverts who need time to recharge. It's a serious yeah, it's like a serious thing that they need.
Right.
I do need to recharge, but it doesn't always take very long.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, Teddy's like that. He has to recharge like for a day, you know, or like maybe an afternoon or something. But for me, I'm just like, just come back, drink some coffee, and go back out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're a lot more extrovert. Yeah. A little bit more like, I think Donnie has become a little bit more of a homebody. I think married life does that, having kids and stuff. You're more attached to home. I think you want to be home with your family. Like that's the way he is. Yeah. He wants to be home with
he has a big family too, right?
Yes. Yeah. He's a second of 9. So I'm the oldest of 11. He's second of 9. Big families.
Dang.
That was also really cool to me too, because I thought, well, he would get that.
Understand.
One of the guys, the guy I went out with before that, the one date, he was an only child. And I think that was something that like we just did not understand about each other. It was kind of funny.
Yeah.
So it worked out. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't work out for some people, but it helped for us.
Yeah.
And our second date, one thing that really stood out to me is how we talked about Our Lady. And it's just, she seems like she's just been a theme throughout our relationship ever since then. And just our children, when they were baptized, being consecrated to Our Lady afterwards. It's just, she's really helped a lot. I mean, even when I was younger, I was in a sodality at my church as a teenager.
What is a sodality?
It's a young ladies group that is generally dedicated to Our Lady.
Oh, wow.
And you usually go through a preparation that prepares you for consecration to Our Lady, which is something that I did. And every month we do activities, something that would help the church. And Father would give us a spiritual talk to kind of guide us young ladies in our spiritual journey. And Our Lady was really, I think she, you know, being consecrated to her, I think it was really important because she's really looked out for me. Yeah. And college wasn't all that easy. Junior community college in a liberal city. It was, she really protected me. It was amazing, just looking back.
Do you guys have a specific title of Our Lady that you're most connected with?
I know Our Lady of Guadalupe, Donnie really is just attached to her. For me, I don't know that it's really any specific title. I've been trying to get closer to Our Lady of Sorrows, and that was something that was initially hard, and I think I'll get to that. So we we actually got engaged after like 2 months, and then got married 7 months later. So we were married less than a year after we had met, just less, like a month less.
Yeah,
I think we'd met in September. So a year later, and lived up here close to where my family was living, because they had bought a property closer to town. So
Wow.
and had our first one like 10 months later, and
you don't have to say the name,
right?
So yeah,
right. So he was born, and that was amazing. It was really hard. We did a home birth. When we looked for a midwife, unfortunately, we were kind of thinking in terms of what we could afford financially, and I just knew that I didn't want to have a hospital birth unless it was necessary.
Yeah.
Just because I get kind of stressed out going to the hospital. My husband really definitely gets stressed out. A lot of medical things are associated, I think, probably with bad things, especially going through 3 tours and everything. So we were like, well, unless it's necessary, we'll go if we have to. That's fine. Doctors are really great in some situations, but if we don't need to, we'll just use a midwife. But financially, we were a little bit strapped trying to find a midwife that would take Medicaid, and wasn't really working out. And we settled on a midwife, which was probably not the best option. And I kind of had a little bit of a traumatic experience. It was hard with him, and I probably should have gone to the hospital. I was having signs probably of preeclampsia, and she didn't tell us that's what it was. It was after the fact, looking back on all of my symptoms, that I kind of put 2 and 2 together, thinking I probably had signs of preeclampsia happening, and it's dangerous.
What were the signs? If you're open to
blood
sharing?
pressure issues, and my protein was starting to climb a bit, and the tests that I would go in for. It was just that last week, and then she induced me, which is interesting. Midwives are not allowed to do that. I didn't know that either.
Wow.
Being induced is not fun.
No.
And I mean, some people have to do it, but she was concerned about these symptoms, and we should have asked more questions, but everything worked out okay, and it was just really hard. So when we got pregnant with our second one, I still wanted to try midwife, but I had to really look. I was like, I don't trust anybody right now.
Yeah.
So we had to look around, and we were really upfront and honest. Like, we just don't trust anyone, and you have to convince us otherwise.
So how old was your first when you got pregnant with your second?
Let's see. So she was born 2 years and a month later.
Okay.
So
he
must have been like, I think he was born in June. It was October, I think I found out I was pregnant. End of October, beginning of November, after he had turned 1. So he was not quite 18 months old.
Oh, okay. So it was over a year. Okay.
It was over a year.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and Donnie, he was working in the oil fields for a little bit.
Yeah, I remember that.
He was gone 2 weeks, home for 2 weeks. Yeah.
So what spurred that decision to have him do that?
Financial, like, it's good income. It was short-lived, though, because we just knew that was not going to work for our family.
How long did he do that for?
I think it was about 7-8 months.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
That is quite a significant amount of time.
It was hard on us, and we were starting to see that. It was hard on our family. And Donnie, he was starting to realize, his dad had done a lot of traveling for work, and he was starting to see what it was like for Fernando, like growing up and dad being gone a lot.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not sure if I want to do this. And it was hard on our relationship too, just to be apart like that.
Right.
And then I started thinking, gosh, well, if I get pregnant, what if he's not here? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I can, I don't know what that would be like if he wasn't here for it. And he's 18-hour drive away. He can't fly home. There's no like airports that are nearby where he was working at the time. Somewhere in North Dakota.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I was trying to think 18 hours. Like, how far away is that? Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it wasn't 18 hours. It might have been more like 13. I think maybe it was more 13 hours.
That's still pretty significant, though.
Yeah. And actually, considering that Rosie's birth was 7 hours start to finish, I'm just glad he wasn't working in the oil fields anymore. It was great.
7 hours.
No, it was beautiful actually.
Oh, good.
So he started working for local business soon after I had gotten pregnant. We were already trying to figure out how to get out of the oil field before I got pregnant. So yeah, that was good. Let's see, who was he working for? I can't remember. Anyway, I kind of lost my train of thought.
So he ended up starting work after the oil fields.
Well, yeah. So he started another job, and then I was expecting our second one, and Rosie, and we found another midwife that was local, and just really lots of questions. Did so much more research. And if you ever ask, and I don't know why I didn't do this with our first one, but I am the research person. It's kind of, I think it's a little bit I go overboard sometimes, and I can get sucked in to stuff. So
yeah, that was me with Gianna. I was like, yeah, is it normal for her to breathe like this? Like always on the internet, and I'm like, my doctor was like, don't do that.
Yeah. You
will go crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I did so much more research. We asked so many more questions, and we found some amazing midwives, and we used their birth suite, which was in the basement of their office. Like, they had an office upstairs, and the basement was the birth suite.
Who was it, if I can ask?
Hazel Tree.
Oh,
yeah.
I was just going to ask if it was them.
Yeah, they're amazing. And yeah, I felt really good during that pregnancy too. So with Fernando was hard. I think I was starting to feel some health problems that I'm currently dealing with still. And with Rosie, we actually started after the first trimester because I just felt so sick. I had to eat whatever. I never threw up, but I just couldn't eat because I would feel like I was going to. So I just ate what I could for the first trimester, and then the second trimester we actually tried paleo, and I felt so good during the rest of that pregnancy compared to Fernando.
So what is paleo?
Generally it's what's called like a hunter-gatherer diet, but you would eat what you would think of like the hunter-gatherers would have been able to get to: berries, nuts, meat, eggs. Dairy is not a part of that because that's not something that they would have done, I guess.
Really?
Yeah, milking cows and stuff way back. So, but we did have dairy. We ate paleo with dairy. And so that was really good. And actually we started getting into raw milk for Fernando because I had a really terrible time nursing him. I wonder if he had tongue ties. I never actually got that looked into.
How did the raw milk sit with him?
He did so much better with it compared to pasteurized.
Really?
So I knew there was something to it. It was terrible. I knew it was good. It was good for him. And there's all these things that I read about how much more beneficial it can be for you because of, that the pasteurization kind of changes the structure of the milk, and it can kill off some things that may be beneficial to your gut and help you digest.
Oh, sorry. Was this after he turned a year, or was this when he was like a baby?
He was actually like 10 months old, I think, when I
okay.
started the raw milk, which
Yeah,
is
yeah.
a little early, and that was a little early.
I mean,
But
if it works, it works.
was doing trying to do what I could, but he did really well on it, and I couldn't bring myself to drink raw milk. I just couldn't. I was like, I can't get over this idea of drinking raw milk. Like,
Yeah.
I'm freaked out by this. When I was like giving my son
Raw milk. I know. I'm
it's like this mental thing I had to get over.
Sorry, I was texting Teddy to see if he can get her a bottle.
That's okay. So he was doing great. I eventually got on it after, I mean, gosh, it must have been almost a year. I eventually started having it. And I've never, ever been a great milk drinker.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that I enjoyed.
Milk is gross.
Yeah.
I don't like milk.
Like,
Unless it's like chocolate milk.
One of my siblings would literally, like, he would just drink a gallon of milk. Like, it was just his thing.
Good for him.
And he enjoyed it.
Question mark?
Like, he loved milk.
Who was
So,
that?
it was Thomas, I think it was Thomas. But he's, like, lactose intolerant. So, since then, he's actually gone with raw milk,
yikes.
too. So, it's like a family thing, I think, probably, that we have to do raw milk.
Interesting.
I don't do very well with pasteurized milk either.
But you used to.
I used to have it, but I probably just didn't realize what it was doing to me.
So, like, what exactly changes with, like, pasteurized milk?
It kills off a lot of the naturally, like, occurring, like, beneficial bacteria that's in the milk. Kind of like in yogurt, that's beneficial bacteria. And it can actually assist in your digestion of the milk. So when it's those bacteria can help you digest it more effectively. So some people who thought they were lactose intolerant, like my brother, found out that he wasn't. He just needed to have raw milk, and he was fine.
Wow.
So he doesn't have any issues with it.
I wonder if that's why we're seeing so many people lactose intolerant, is because they're not, like, I mean, back in the day, they used to do just raw milk. They didn't really have pasteurization or anything, and now there's a million people that are lactose intolerant. Like Gianna, you know, we have to do Lactaid for her, you know, which I'm sure is not great, but it is what it is. It's, you know, helping her out. But we just gave her a bottle. It's working out great. So I'm curious. I wonder if, like, raw milk would help. That's really interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it is. It's really fascinating. So we were doing that for him, and I
actually have. Hey, Teddy, can you just bring her in the bedroom, maybe? We're figuring it out. It's about moms, you know, so.
Yeah.
Crying babies are on theme, I guess.
That's okay. I felt pretty good with Rosie, and I even went shopping at Costco, but on her due date.
Wow.
And
brave.
Felt good.
Like, even for people that
maybe
aren't pregnant, Costco's like scary.
Well, I did have my sister help me.
Oh, good.
But yeah, I knew I was like, I kind of wonder walking around Costco. I was like, I kind of have a feeling maybe this is doing something. And then I went to sleep and, like, woke up, like, I felt like minutes later, but I think it was like an hour later. I was like, I think this is it, and it was.
Wow.
So I got ready to go, and I think I didn't text my midwife until like 1-something, so like an hour later. And it's funny that because when I stood up, the contractions got slower. When I laid down, they got faster. It was really weird. I was like, well, maybe that means that this is it, because if you lay down, sometimes they go away. Weird. And I had that for like 2 weeks, where I had all this pre-labor.
Wow.
Whenever I laid down and rested, it'd go away. So the fact that it was the opposite, I was like, and so I finally texted her, and she's like, well, I'm gonna get over to the birth center, and you get ready and let me know when you're on your way. And so I did. I think we left our house around 3-something, like 3. I don't know if it was quite 3:30. We got to the birth center in like 25
Where was
minutes.
Fernando? Was he with your parents?
So at that point, we were living right next door to my parents, renting from them, because they had gotten the property next door, and we're renting from them. So I just had to call, and my sister came over, and she just called him. She came over and watched the kiddo. And
That's ideal.
Yeah,
like,
it was
a
perfect.
Commune, like a
Yeah.
family commune.
And then my mom hops in her car and like follows, and because I wanted her to be with me. She was with me for both of them.
Nice.
And it's really special to have her there. She's always like, I feel like I don't really do much, but it's just having your mom. For me, it was just nice having her there. And
Right.
when Donnie needed to take a break, she would hold my hand, and it was nice when we got there. I didn't have like things kind of slowed down, and I was like, oh man, I don't know if this is gonna happen. And then she was born like 3.5 hours later. So I don't know. I didn't have anything to worry about.
So did you have any signs of preeclampsia with Rosie?
No,
Wow.
I did so well during that pregnancy. I think
The paleo probably helped
I think
a
it
lot.
really did help.
Yeah.
And I was careful about what kind of sugars I was intaking, and I didn't even do the glucose test. I opted to just test my blood sugar at home for a week
Good for you.
because I felt so awful after
The
doing it.
glucose test is literally like one of the worst parts of pregnancy. Like I almost died, and the glucose part was worse
Yeah,
than almost dying.
makes you feel so sick. Gosh,
I threw up. Sorry, like
Yeah.
like with Finnegan,
Mhm.
I was gonna have to go on heavy duty steroids,
Mhm.
and I was like, this is gonna spike my blood pressure. I am 100% going to get gestational diabetes, and so I went in early before I was gonna start this. Did I tell you this?
No.
Oh man, so I went in early to do my glucose test because I didn't want to, have gestational diabetes, and I went in, it was like midnight, and I went in to do it, and I was like, oh, this is so disgusting, and
Yeah.
I didn't last. I threw up in the car.
Oh no.
And then I had to do it 2 weeks later. I didn't end up getting gestational diabetes,
That's good.
but
Yeah.
those are not, I can't drink Sprite anymore.
Yeah. So I went on one of my research binges about it.
Yeah.
And I was actually really dissatisfied with how many false negatives you can get doing that
Really?
test. And so I thought, well, what if I did have gestational diabetes? It's important. And this test actually has, like, I can't remember the numbers, but at least like 18% false negatives sometimes.
Really?
And I thought, that's not okay with me. And then
Yeah.
false positives too. I'm like, well, there's too many false positives, too many false negatives. In this testing myself at home will give me a better picture on whether I actually have something going on or not. I feel like it's probably a better idea anyway.
Right.
I had to like refuse the test, and then it was like this whole disclaimer thing, just because it's official
Mhm.
care, right, that you do, and then testing at home is not considered part of an acceptable alternative.
Mm.
But that's what we did, and we were really happy with the numbers. They were great.
Yeah.
And so I felt really happy about that. Just I was more at peace about knowing that, actually knowing whether I had gestational diabetes or not.
Right, right. So,
So,
did you guys continue paleo after she was born?
yeah, pretty much. And we kind of basically stuck with it more or less from then on until we actually had a miscarriage.
Mm.
So, and that threw me for a loop. It's funny because, well, it's not funny. I use my words better, but my mom, after her fifth one, had quite a few miscarriages. And, lots of stuff there. And I kind of thought, oh, well, you have a big family. It's likely that you'll have a miscarriage. It's just kind of a fact of life. It's like 1 in 4 women, or 1 in 4 pregnancies, I think. Something like that can be. So I thought, well, it'll happen someday. But I never thought it was going to happen that soon.
Yeah.
It really just threw me for a loop. I thought, well, I'm doing well. I feel pretty good. Paleo works well for me, and I don't think there's anything wrong. And then, yeah, it was weird. Just I found out. Let's see, how old was Rosie? It was like a month after she turned 1, and it was in August. Yeah, no, it was July 29th. That's right. that one, I have a hard time remembering the date for some reason. The other two, I remember, but July 29th, her birthday's like 2 weeks before that. So I had just finished nursing her and I got pregnant right away. It's like I didn't start my cycle until after I finished nursing her. And nursing her was really, really difficult. And just for my nursing, the first one was really hard. Nursing her was really difficult. She had 4 tongue ties that we got revised. It was still hard. It was a struggle. She had failure to thrive. She wasn't gaining weight. She hadn't gained weight for like 3 months. It was kind of scary. We ended up putting her on some donor breast milk in addition to me nursing her, and I decided to try to stick it out until a year old. I made it to like 11 months and a week or something. I was like, I'm just done. I need a break mentally.
That's a long time.
And that was my goal. It was really stressful though, and I kind of wonder, I think I put too much stress on myself with that. I was like, I'm gonna nurse her no matter what. And I think that stress was probably really bad for me. And then a month later, find out I'm pregnant, and then 5 days later, I had the miscarriage. It was so fast, and it was just a shock. But it's unbelievable how attached you get in that short a time. You just know, like, if you're a mom, you just know. I'm gonna tear up now, but
no,
yeah.
Don't feel uncomfortable if you cry.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay.
You just know, you have this feeling inside of you that there is a life, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
And I kind of had this feeling that there was something wrong. I had these cramps, and I thought, well, I know that's normal at the beginning. You're stretching out, and you get all crampy, but I was like, there's something just different. Something is off. Thank you. Something is off. And so it just kind of shocked me. And so we kind of tried to recover, and my poor husband's going through this too. And kind of took a couple months, and then I actually got in touch with an NFP doctor, and we did a panel of tests to test my progesterone, because she said, based on my charts, and I learned the Creighton Model NFP.
That's what we're doing too.
Yeah. My mom taught it for a long time. She's not currently certified at the time, but so I learned it from her. And she said, based on my charts, she figured I probably have some progesterone issues. Postluteal phase defect is what it's called. So at the end of your cycle, before you start your period, the progesterone drops off. It's supposed to, but if it drops off too soon, it can, right when a baby would be implanting, it can cause implantation issues or a weak start. She figured that was probably part of the issue. So we're testing for that. And then I get the results back, and my progesterone's super high. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. That's like pregnancy numbers. So I take a pregnancy test, and it was positive. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm ready for this. That's honestly, like, I was freaking out.
Yeah.
I was excited, super excited, but I was also kind of freaking out, like, oh no, what if there's something, what if something's going to happen again? And so I got on progesterone right away, but I had that feeling again that something wasn't right. Like, I could feel there was life in me, and then it felt like something wasn't there after a couple weeks. And I went in for the 5-week ultrasound, like they do the really early one, and they didn't see anything there. They saw the sac where the baby's supposed to be. So it must have been really early, and the progesterone was prolonging the pregnancy, making my body think it was still pregnant. So I had to wean off of the progesterone. This is Christmas time, and it was just weaning off the progesterone and just waiting for another miscarriage to happen was the worst thing. And I kept thinking, well, maybe they were wrong. Maybe it won't happen. And then that morning when it happened, it was just like, that 2 weeks of just waiting for the miscarriage to happen was just mentally, it was really, really hard. And I came out of that probably depressed a bit. I mean, not probably, I know I was definitely depressed.
Yeah.
And it really, sometimes you don't realize how bad it is until you come out the other side. But it was affecting, and it's so selfish too. Depression can be very selfish in a way, because you think it's all about you, and you forget that other people are suffering too, like my husband. And my self-pity going through it, just not being able to work through it, but it became almost selfish to a point. And I mean, when you're going through that and you have hormone imbalances going on, like those hormones that going up, pregnancy, okay, it's over, going down, going back up, going down. It's really hard mentally on you, because hormone fluctuations like that, they can affect your mental state.
Right.
And so, and then my cycles were just getting awful after that. And
just really,
they were getting really hard in the hormone. Like, I'd get headaches when my hormone shifts were happening.
Interesting.
Like, I could tell when my progesterone was dropping. I just feel awful. And so we did a lot of tests, and did 3 months of different tests just to see where my hormones were at. We were checking out like estrogen, progesterone, and FSH and LH, and all of this standard testing through NFP, just to see what's going on. And I definitely had this at the end, the progesterone dropping too soon. But my estrogen was a little bit low too, which is weird. And we were just not finding answers. It was very slightly improved after a few months. So that was on January 3rd that I had that I actually had the miscarriage. And we named all of them, actually. That's something that my mom did with her miscarriages, and it's really special actually to me to be able to talk to my little siblings in heaven.
Yeah.
Because they have a name, like I can talk to them by name. And we named ours. So the first one is Dolores, Margaret, Marie, and Dolores, kind of like Our Lady of Sorrows.
Yeah.
Dolores Sorrows. Yeah. And then the second one we named Genevieve Marie. So that was on January 3rd, is a feast of Saint Genevieve.
Oh, wow.
And then so we treated the with progesterone therapy, and it gets a little bit personal, but
you don't have to share it if you don't want to.
I know. I feel like it's important though. Like, I didn't realize how hard it is to avoid pregnancy on your relationship. We were doing it for a good reason, trying to fix these hormone issues so that we could have successful pregnancies.
Yeah.
And it is so hard on your relationship, because it's like marriage is made for the procreation and education of children. That's my vocation. That's my husband and I's vocation. And to do something, like, even though it's for good reason, that's just so against like that fundamental, like what it is. It's so unnatural.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard on your relationship, your physical relationship, and just being close. And then I was having a hard time mentally, just with this depression and just feeling really kind of inadequate as a wife and mother, almost like, I can't make children properly or something. Like, I just felt responsible in this way, and I know it's not. That's what's going through my head, and I'm at the point where I know that's irrational. God was letting this happen for a reason, and I might not completely ever understand that. But I know it's not my fault. I know that now. But that's what I was going through. I was going through so much of that and just kind of stuck in this. And then, we're trying to fix my hormones and stuff. And I finally talked with my doctor and I said, this has been really difficult. Do you think we can try again? And she said, she never would tell us whether to or not to. But she, because as an NFP doctor, that's not their place. They don't tell you whether to or not to. It's a sacred thing. Right. And so she can make recommendations like, well, we can test if you aren't pregnant, and we can treat this, we can try this. So anyway, she said, well, your numbers have improved a little bit. Let's go ahead and try it, and we'll see. We have a plan for what to do if it doesn't go well. We're going to try a few different things. And it was really fast. I kind of felt that I just knew we were pregnant. And a couple days later, I was like, it just doesn't feel like it's there anymore. But I was on progesterone again, just to help.
Oh, okay. So did that.
And I just was like, I just have this feeling. So I got in touch with my doctor. I said, can we do an HCG test? Because you can take the HCG test and see that it's supposed to rise so much within a certain amount of time.
Right.
And then we can just see what's going on, see if there's anything happening.
Sure. And
I went in for that first test, and the results came back the next day, and they were so low. I didn't even go for the second one because we already knew, like, there's no way being that low.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
I was just kind of, I guess I thought, well, how is this happening again? And then I really thought about, like, well, I'm still mentally having a hard time. I know my hormones aren't completely there. Meanwhile, during that was in November, that was this last November. Prior to November, in March of last year, I actually started the GAPS protocol diet.
Yeah, you were telling me about that.
Yeah.
I specifically did not look at your text so I can hear
about
what this is.
So I had looked into it after the first miscarriage. And I even actually tried it, but I didn't read the book by Dr. Natasha Campbell-McBride. She developed the GAPS protocol diet.
What does GAPS mean?
Gut and psychology and gut and physiology syndrome.
Okay.
There are many conditions that can be connected to your gut. I mean, basically everything starts in your gut. Hippocrates said that your health lies in your gut. And more research is coming out with the fact that our gut has so much to do with our mental health, our body's health, our everything, just how we run. If our gut is doing well, if it's working well, then our body will work well.
Interesting. So when did you guys start this?
Well, I looked into it and kind of tried to do it after the first miscarriage, and kind of failed miserably because I just didn't know what I was doing. And it's really difficult. I went and got the book and I finally read it. But meanwhile, I go through the second miscarriage, January 3rd. And after that, I'm just struggling. I'm like, I need to do something. I don't feel well. And maybe it has something to do, this gut and psychology syndrome, GAPS diet, should help heal my gut. And I know my gut is connected to all kinds of things, and it can only help my hormones. And, sugars and your diet have very big impact on your hormones. So I thought, well, if I do this, it should help. And I read the book. I got a cookbook because I needed some ideas we're limited to certain foods, and there's 2 ways to do it. The GAPS diet, there's the full GAPS diet, where there's a full list of allowed foods for somebody who is has some kind of condition that is GAPS connected. Or you can go through these 6 stages that bring you to full GAPS. So I decided to just dive in and do the 6 stages. We went stage 1, all of us. Rosie has had a lot of abnormal issues too, that like eczema and abnormal stool and different things like that.
Sure.
Just signs that something's off. And then with Fernando, I mean, we went through like thrush, which is like a candida yeast overgrowth.
Yeah.
So I just thought, well, and he's been through some antibiotics and stuff, and you know that if you have to do them, you have to do them. But I knew that it would just be good for all of us. And my husband, I mean, gosh, he's been through a lot with his tours and everything. I just figured it could only help him. And it would be easier for all of us. And he's so supportive. He's like, yep, let's just all do it. And it would just be easier if we just all have the same food and we aren't making 2 different meals anyway. So we all did it and started in March, and kind of went through a week of not feeling so great, just because we come down to very little food, very nutrient dense food. And one of the main foods that are very important for healing the gut is stock, different from broth.
Okay.
So meat stock is like a broth of a sort that you cook. You cook the meat for a shorter period of time, just to get with a bone in it, and it extracts all of these healthy things from the meat and the bone. And then bone broth, on the other hand, is cooked for hours, and it can take out some amines from the bones, which aren't necessarily bad, but if you are a gut compromised person, starting the first stages of the GAPS diet, you will likely have a hard time processing the amines. You may have a histamine reaction to them. So it's harder on the gut. So you have to start with stock that's cooked for a short amount of time, and then just really nutrient dense foods, meat and vegetables.
Do you put the meat? I guess I could find out on Google, but do you put the meat in with the bone and you boil it with water?
Generally like a meaty bone. And if I needed more meat for us to fill up on, I would add extra cuts of meat into the pot with the meaty bone.
Okay, yeah.
So I just get what I could. Sometimes it would be a bone and some meat, or a meaty bone, or like whatever I could get.
And you throw it in with water, and then you boil it for how long?
Yeah. So for chicken, it's only like an hour, 2 hours. For beef, it's like 4 hours.
That's not bad. Would you do it in your crock pot or just in a regular pot?
So I did try it in my crock pot, but I wanted more water. Like I wanted to get more broth out of it, since we were all 4 of us going through it. So I borrowed my mom's giant pot for a while, and she kept asking for it. She's like, I need to use it for this and that. And I was like, okay, we need to just get our own. So we finally got our own giant, like 16 quart pot.
Oh my
I
gosh.
would just do a ton of it all at once. I'd freeze some sometimes.
Wow.
Just because I wanted to just not run out, because it was so integral to being on.
Well, it takes
a
lot of time. I mean, 2 hours isn't,
Yeah, you don't really have to
nothing.
watch it, but if you're doing other stuff, it's just another thing.
Wow.
So it's like bulk making food, bulk preparation. So trying to make it easier on myself. And when I read the book, she's really talking about how doing it yourself is difficult, because most of these people, like treating yourself rather than having someone do it for you or tell you what to do is difficult, because generally people who need help, they're having a hard time just doing day-to-day life. And I totally understood that.
Yeah.
So here I am, like mentally having a hard time with these miscarriages and trying to prepare this food in a specific way that you literally just can't buy. And I mean, you can buy sauerkraut. That was about it. And that was like, we had to have probiotic food as a really big part of it, because you're building up the gut.
Yeah.
And you're helping heal the gut lining. And when the gut lining is damaged over the years from all these chemicals that are in foods, and all of these toxic things in our environment and heavy metals, and just we really live in a toxic world, unfortunately.
Spiritually and physically.
Spiritually, absolutely. And I mean, I think spiritually, where the world is at, no wonder our bodies are so sick these days.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely connected.
So for someone that, let's say they don't like have the time to do the GAPS diet, or they just don't have like the mojo to do the GAPS diet,
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm intrigued by what you're saying.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have the willpower to like stick to it and just like do it, you know?
Yeah.
So like, would taking a probiotic be helpful? Or
Well,
like, what's the difference between, I guess, eating probiotic type foods comparatively to like just taking a pill?
Well, so the pill doesn't come with the other parts of food that are going to help your body actually be able to use it. If you keep giving your body processed foods and other things, it's just going to kill it off, and you're going to perpetuate this cycle. And if you have some issues like food sensitivities or eczema, or, you know, mental issues or autism, and Dr. Natasha Campbell-McBride started this because her son is autistic. She's a neurologist and a nutritionist. She has like 2 doctorates or something.
Dang.
She's a smart lady.
Yeah. Wow.
Whose son ended up with autism, and she wanted to do something about it. There's something about moms who decide they're going to do something.
Yeah.
Like, and she did. She wasn't finding answers, and she figured that there's this serious connection between mental health and development and your gut health.
Interesting.
And so she developed this, and she healed her son from autism. He doesn't have autism anymore. She successfully did it.
How do you know that like he was healed? I'm not saying she didn't. I'm just wondering, like, for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think my kids are autistic, but like, and even
Yeah.
if they were, I mean, you know, we just kind of roll with it. But like, how does she know? Did he just stop being like behavioral, or
Yeah, all of his symptoms went away, and all of the tests said that he was
Really?
normal.
what the heck?
She did it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Maybe-
amazing.
After this, we're talking more, because I actually kind of want to do this. Maybe for Lent.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's what we did. We timed it with Lent, because we're like,
Oh,
how
man.
are we mentally going to make ourselves, like, we had to make it mean something. And it was really special too, timing it with Lent, because it made it more of a spiritual thing too.
Mm-hmm.
Because it wasn't just, oh, we want to be better. It's like, well, let's make this coincide spiritually with, you know, so
Yeah.
it's more than just taking care of our bodies. We're trying to,
Something about like
you know.
Yeah, sorry. Something about like timing things with Lent is so like, even for people that aren't Catholic, I 100% I recommend just doing Lent 1 year, just seeing how it is, you know, because I think that we're so used to getting what we want. Like, even me, I'm just like, I'm gonna buy Gushers today, you know, and those are obviously garbage for you. I had 3 packs today. So that's why I'm kind of interested in this, to see how I feel. But doing something with Lent, I think, is helpful, because you have like a spiritual motivation to do it, and not just like not just a motivation like, I'm gonna get healthy, you know, like it's like spiritually, and like, I think combining having your medical and your soul to like your you know what I'm saying? Like, I think once, my mom says this all the time, she works in the medical field, when they removed the soul from the practice of like healing people, people weren't healed properly.
Oh, I believe that.
And so it's like, with my issues, I mean, I definitely, I mean, of course, you know, all of the medical things that they did, you know, the plasmapheresis, the prednisone, all of the stuff that they pumped in my body, that definitely helped. But I think the prayers and also getting last rites helped tremendously, because it was like, mentally, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna die, you know? And like, that's that's what I chalked it up to. I mean, my mom prayed to Our Lady, like, please protect her from stress, which, I mean, I'm dying, so that's kind of hard to do. But she pulled it off.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, I'm not dying. And, like, because I didn't see her. I didn't see anything, like, supernatural, anything like that. And so it's, like, having your soul in alignment with your medical, like, I think that actually the Hindus do that. Like, yeah. And I mean, I don't believe in Hinduism, of course, like Catholic through and through, but they're right about that, where it's like the body and the soul are very much aligned. Like, yes, absolutely. You have to take care of both. Yeah. You can't just do like one or the other. Mm-hmm. And it's hard. Yeah. It's really hard.
So, I mean, if you did want to do something like that, if somebody was looking at this and just thinking, I've come across many people who have seen how well this has worked for us and thought, there's just no way I can do that. I don't know how I can do that. Well, if you just do little things, like the fact that we did paleo before we did GAPS really helped, because we had already eliminated a lot of foods from our house that were not GAPS. What we call GAPS legal. Right. So we had made a step in that direction. So if you do little things like, I'm not going to buy pasta next time I go to the store, and I'm going to buy more vegetables this time, or more meat, and just start slowly transitioning over and getting used to making food a different way. That's the biggest thing, making food differently. And then just adding little things like a little bit of probiotic sauerkraut. So that would be sauerkraut that's from the refrigerated section, because it's alive, versus canned. That's pretty much just dead sauerkraut.
It's just yummy sauerkraut.
Yeah. So, or one of my favorites, milk kefir, especially goat milk kefir.
Oh, okay. Do you guys have goats?
No, I get some goat milk from a friend.
Nice.
So I just love it. It makes for this really creamy stuff, and I drink.
You might have to
have cups every day.
Donnie, can we come over for dinner?
I know, you totally should.
Try it out. I mean, I think that'd be cool, and maybe we can get a group of gals doing the GAPS diet for Lent this year. Yeah. We can all like write about what we think about it. Yeah. I think that'd be cool.
That would be really cool. I mean, also, if you do full GAPS, that's a lot easier, because that full list of foods is really great. It's just some people need to do the stages because they have some serious stuff going on. But a lot of people who have, it's a lot of moms who find out about this, who are trying to help themselves or their children get well, because they can't find anything else. But it's hard. So you can start with like full, and then, when you've gotten used to making these foods and being limited to certain things, then you go through the 6 stages, and it's a long process, and Dr. McBride says you're supposed to do it for 2 years, and I haven't been religious about it. I mean, I have chocolate.
And how can you not have chocolate?
I know. Gosh, well, and she does say that chocolate, it's got some stimulants, and it's a bit it can be a big issue for some of these people that are very, very sensitive, have very sensitive guts, who have some serious. There are some people who are going through GAPS that, like Crohn's disease and stuff like that. Dang. They can't eat. Like, if they cheat once, they're in agony. For me, it's not as huge a thing. I see I found out refined sugar is a huge no for me. I feel hungover the next day.
So refined sugar, as in like white sugar,
cane sugar. Or corn syrup, either one.
So what do you? Oh, you use honey, right?
I feel hungover the next day. Yeah. I use honey and everything.
Does it? So when you're
raw honey specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wait. So where do you get your honey? Do you get it from?
I use Azure Standard a lot.
Do you order that online, or do you? Okay. And they just deliver a giant tub.
Yeah. So since we go through so much. And I did can a bunch of stuff, which is not necessarily GAPS legal either, but, I grew my garden and everything.
Wait, why is canning not legal?
Because it kills off a bunch of beneficial things in the food. And the GAPS diet is all about giving your body as nutrient-dense a nutrition as possible, and as alive nutrition as possible, in order to foster that healthy, healing in the body.
Coffee's a no-no then.
It is, yeah. Well, although she does allow it on full gaps.
Really?
Yeah, as long as it's not super strong, because
Interesting.
it's so on full gaps. So that's why full gaps might be way more doable for some people.
So when you do, so give us an example of like some of the GAPS foods, because like, is it a pretty short list that you can eat, or is it like
No, I'm
significant?
like, well, so the biggest thing that's restrictive is the dairy is supposed to be raw.
Okay.
So
Well, luckily up here, I mean, you can find it
you
anywhere.
can find it everywhere. So I get raw cheese. I raw cheese. And then also you always ferment your dairy unless you've gone through full gaps. For very sensitive individuals, you're not supposed to have milk even raw. You need to ferment it because it ferments out the lactose and those sugars. Kefir and yogurt, it eats the sugars. So
you
those
can't.
sugars are really triggering for a lot of people with sensitive guts.
So fermenting milk?
Yeah, well, basically what you do is you take milk and you make it into cheese or yogurt or kefir. Yeah, you're fermenting it.
Oh, okay. So it's not like you just leave it out and let it.
No, although
its
you
thing.
can do that. I have done that. You can make cottage cheese that way.
Was it gross?
No, it's not at all. So what happens is it just turns different. It doesn't turn bad. So you have your milk and you leave it at room temperature, and when it starts separating, it's curds and whey. Mm-hmm. And then you separate. I mean, if you left it out for like 2 weeks, then it will start growing stuff.
That is.
If you leave it out for like 2 days, it'll separate into curds and whey, and maybe 3 days.
And it has to be raw milk. Like, no one, you can't just leave out milk.
Oh, no.
Like
pasteurized milk, yeah, no, that would just go bad.
That's so
it wouldn't
crazy.
work. Also, it's homogenized, so it's had a process done to it where it won't separate. So
I don't like milk. I don't like cheese. Isn't that weird? Lactose intolerance is wasted on other people. I wish that I was lactose intolerant. Like, I could switch lactose intolerance with someone that is lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
They can have my milk tolerance. Because I don't like it. And, but that's so interesting that, like...
I still don't really enjoy drinking milk.
But do you...
Even though it's raw and it tastes... It's good, but it's not... I prefer kefir or cheese or sour cream or and I'm always fermenting raw cream with my yogurt starter.
Can you make
ice cream?
Yes,
because I need ice cream.
I know. It's like I will die. Like, I've been doing this.
I have to have my ice cream, so we make it.
I was doing this. I'm doing this. Like, quote unquote, doing a diet. I was pretty good about it for like 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. So don't have high hopes with me in GAPS.
That's okay.
It will probably fail. Anyway, positive thinking. But I have these ice creams in my freezer, and they're amazing. It's called Van Leeuwen's, and it's like French ice cream, and you can buy it at Walmart, and it's Tapatio. It's like Mexican, hot Mexican ice cream.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it has like fudge in it and stuff. It's like horrible for you, but I love it. It's like one of the little delights in my life. Other than my kids, of course. But yeah, no, that's so crazy. So we might have to actually, I want to try this. Yeah. I wonder if it would benefit my autoimmune disorder.
Well, yes, there are a lot of people with autoimmune disorders who end up on GAPS because that's a sign of a lot of other things. And I should actually, I do want to talk more about GAPS, but I was on GAPS, right, for that whole year, but still, and I felt so much better. Mm-hmm. I lost weight without trying. This never happened to me before.
Okay, I'm definitely
it was amazing, and I felt more clear-headed.
Really?
And not all my hormone issues went away, though. And so keep in mind that was in March, about when I was starting my progesterone treatments. I think I started them in April or May. Mm-hmm. Did those for 3 months, along with doing GAPS. It was difficult. We ended up kind of sliding out of the last stage of GAPS too fast because we traveled for a family wedding. Mm-hmm. And being on the road with GAPS is kind of it's hard.
Yeah. How do you guys go to restaurants? Do you go to restaurants?
We do. Pretty much we have steak and vegetables.
I mean,
which isn't too bad. I mean,
can you have potatoes?
No. Well, okay, so no, technically it's not gaps, but that's the thing with gaps. You go through the healing, and you can come off of gaps and have certain foods that are not gaps legal, like potatoes and possibly homemade sourdough bread and stuff like that. But if you're going to go back and start eating processed foods and all those foods that led to your issues in the first place, then not going to. Yeah.
Have you tried any of the things that used to bother you just to see like the effects of it?
Well, I found out they're mostly things that I probably just don't want to put in my body anyway. Like white sugar, refined sugar and corn syrup. Like those bother me a lot. It's funny because your brain is really wired to sugar. And I think about like Sour Patch Kids. I used to eat those all the time, and Skittles.
Oh,
when I think about them, my brain still gets happy.
Did you know that Skittles are banned in the EU?
I do, actually. I've heard of that.
I was shocked, and then I wasn't shocked. Like,
well, yeah. I mean, like, I used to have those all the time. My brain still gets happy when I think about it. I have tasted them since, and they taste disgusting. My brain still says happy.
Wow.
But they don't taste good to me anymore.
Okay, I am going to have to try this.
It's fascinating.
That is so crazy. And, like, I wonder if it would be easier to do gaps in, like, Europe. I bet it would.
Possibly, although parts of the U.S. have a lot more accessibility. It just depends on where you live.
Yeah.
I mean, parts of the U.S. are just terrible, and you can't get raw milk or good quality meat.
Like L.A.
Yeah. So, parts of, like Norway, I think that would be a great place to go.
Yeah.
If you were going to eat what you would call probably an ancestral diet. So there's the Weston A. Price Foundation. Weston A. Price was a dentist like a long time ago. I can't remember
how do you spell
what
that?
year. Weston A. Price. That's his name.
Okay.
Yeah. Foundation, WAPF. He did a lot of research on cultures around the world, like tribes who were untouched and very healthy. Just kind of studied them to see why. Why are they healthy? What do they eat? What do they do? And it was just, he found a lot of things about the way food is prepared, proper preparation of food, and what kinds of food you eat really make a big difference. And then there was this foundation founded upon his discoveries called the Weston A. Price Foundation, and they're all about ancestral eating. So properly prepared foods, bread, sourdough, make it sourdough, ferment it properly, and then it's more digestible. When you eat beans, you soak them to get the phytic acid neutralized, and then you cook them so that they're more digestible. And just things like that, all these practical things that our ancestors used to do, the pioneers used to do, which have been done away with the convenience of processed foods and pre-packaged stuff and everything. It's all been, it doesn't really, like, we don't even know how to do this stuff anymore, right?
The Industrial Revolution ruined everything.
Yeah, kind of.
Wow.
So it makes a big difference. Ever since then, the loss of these skills, a lot of these issues have been happening. So it all takes time, though. It means slowing down your life and preparing foods and all this stuff. It's a lifestyle change, and you just have to do little things, little by little. Like I said, doing paleo was like one step in the direction without knowing it. Yeah. So even if you just did something like, I'm not going to buy this thing anymore, I'm gonna buy this instead. You know. Just bit by bit.
Right. So where do you shop then for your food? Like,
I go to Pilgrim's Market.
I love that place.
Yeah. I shop online with Azure Standard. They are a large company from Oregon.
It's ASSURE. Like
it's
Azure.
AZURE.
Oh, Azure.
Azure.
Oh, okay. I was like, maybe I'm pronouncing Azure wrong.
Azure. Yeah. So Azure Standard, I order through them. There's just a few things I get from them, like my butter and
Do you get it in bulk or do
Yeah,
you,
I get it in bulk and I freeze it.
have you ever thought of making your own butter?
I have, but I'd have to get so much cream, and I don't have cow myself, so it's like it's
yeah.
expensive buying the raw cream. And when I buy raw cream, it's for ice cream.
Yeah, it better be.
So,
Interesting. And like I've been to Pilgrim's Market. I like that place.
mhm.
You know what I did see there? I hope this doesn't turn you off from Pilgrims. They had witchcraft stuff.
Yes, I have seen that. It's everywhere in the natural food world. And
Why is it like
another thing that I've gotten into
that's so crazy?
is herbalism, using herbs. I've been taking this class online and learning how to use herbs, and it's a seriously effective way of, doctoring yourself at home kind of thing. There's so much witchcraft attached to that. Like, there's a whole
I'm not surprised
side of it, and there's the student forum I'm a part of for the students, and like one of the recent posts was somebody's like, look at this poster I found, and it's like something she put over her her collection of herbs, and it's just
Interesting.
It's really sad. It's kind of scary. It's almost like, yeah, I don't know. And then here I am, like, trying to find the heritage of, like, I need to research more of Saint Hildegard von Bingen. She was amazing.
Have you ever talked
herbalist,
to
but
you know what? I'd love to have this gal on here, Dr. Pohl, Hildegard
oh, okay,
Pohl.
yeah,
she is a botanist.
oh, okay,
And I went to her school when I was in like 7th grade,
That's
and
right.
I didn't really appreciate the knowledge that she had. But now that I'm a mom, and now that I'm like kind of looking into some of these things, obviously I haven't enacted any of these things yet, but I appreciate her expertise. Oops, is this dying? No, it's not. We're good. Anyway, no, I appreciate. So it would probably be cool to talk to her, because you know some of the things that she knows, and I'd be interested to hear secondhand from someone that can dumb it down a little bit, like how this works, because it is so intriguing to hear, and like it's interesting because I think that propaganda actually, like, there's like I feel like there's a lot of pressure on people that have your type of lifestyle to like that they're crazy.
We're nonconformists, really.
Right. And so
we are countercultural. Being Catholic is countercultural.
Right. And so to add another layer to that, so it's like, have you ever heard the term crunchy?
Yes.
Do you feel like you're crunchy?
I am so crunchy.
Okay.
My husband is like, one day, I remember probably about a year ago, he's like, Katheryn, you're crunchy. Did you realize, like, you're crunchy now?
Have you ever?
I'm like, yeah, I guess so.
Have you ever seen Crunchy Mom on YouTube?
Oh, well, maybe.
Okay, I'm sending you a million videos now, because I am not crunchy. I'm a silky mom.
Oh, okay.
Like, I think, did you see the gushers on my table?
No, I didn't.
I hid them on purpose. Anyways, not that I think you judge me, but
no,
like, I'm definitely silky. Like, I need to send you these videos. Okay. They're amazing. But no, I mean, I'm so intrigued by people that are crunchy, not because I think they're crazy. I think they have a lot of knowledge that I'm just like, I'm not brave enough to do it,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy just where I've come from. I feel like it's totally different.
Yeah.
I never saw myself being here.
Yeah.
But here I am.
Just like as a mom, or like in your lifestyle? Or?
Just the lifestyle that I'm in now.
Yeah.
And honestly, the further you go down this road of more natural living, the more you realize God just, he just made it that way on purpose. Like the way that Adam and Eve must have lived, that was just perfect. And it's like the closer you can get to living outside and being closer to your food source and things like that, you can really see it takes more work, but it's so good for you to have that work, because it's spiritually building to work with your hands and to have to see where things come from, and it encourages you to be more thankful for what you have and how it's made. And it's just marvelous watching, like, what God made, like,
Right.
and how beautiful it is. Like, even growing your own food and stuff like that, just to see that process and where it came from. It really is, I think it's Catholic to do it.
Right.
Like, to try to get back to it.
Well, and you're giving glory to God,
Over
in
time.
everything
Yeah.
you're doing, even just eating the food that he provides. And
Exactly.
so for people that don't have the capability to like have their own garden, like we
Right.
can't have a garden, of course,
Right.
we're in an apartment. What would you recommend? Like
Oh, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
even just getting close enough, to like, I mean,
yeah, I guess I would try to get outside when you can, just like walking or
well, in regards to like vegetables,
Oh, you mean
like,
stuff like that. Okay. Yeah.
but that's good too.
Yeah. Yeah, just being outside, but trying to unfortunately, I feel like the farmers markets aren't really that much affordable, and they're not always organic. Up here anyway. That's
Yeah.
what I found. But if you can find a local source of food, I find that Pilgrim's Market isn't terrible, but even Super One, just like getting locally, like looking for the local food.
I like Fred Meyer.
Or even just like supporting a friend who's growing food and just be like, hey, can you add another zucchini plant to your garden or something?
I'm gonna ask you that.
Like, totally. I mean, zucchinis grow like weeds.
Maybe we'll just like, can we build a plot on your land?
You totally could. Yeah. I am actually, just because I am focusing a lot on trying to
This is just hypothetical.
heal right now.
Yeah.
I am not going to be using all the space that I do have.
Interesting.
So I could just add another zucchini, no
So
problem.
Now, so now there's going to be a bunch of moms with a bidding war for your garden.
I know, right?
No, I'm joking. But no, that is so cool. And so,
No, you could literally come and like help me weed once a month or something. I don't know.
sure.
Just see how it's going.
I'd love to even just learn,
Yeah.
not even just like have fruit. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, it'd be nice to have like the fruits of the fruits of my labor.
Right,
But
yeah.
I think the knowledge is just
Yeah.
intriguing in and of itself. I think that Teddy and I talk about this all the time, actually.
Yeah.
Where we're just like, peasants in the medieval times, they had I feel like it was easier for them to be spiritual, like
Mhm.
spiritually aligned, because they relied on God for everything, for their
Yes,
crops, for
absolutely.
their health and well-being. Like,
Yeah.
everything was provided by God.
Yeah.
And also, obviously they didn't have connections with the internet or anything like that. Like,
Yeah.
we're being braided with all of this garbage. But
Yeah. Exactly.
I think, like, overall, even though they died younger,
Mm-hmm.
they still were more connected with God than we
Yeah.
probably ever will be.
Yeah.
No wonder there were so many saints in the medieval times.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they
Well, they
had to.
really did. Like, I was looking through my missal and just seeing there's these blessings, like, for your farms and just like celebrations of the different seasons and stuff. I mean, you think about when you got this food. Okay, so we just got a cow and trade for some work that Donnie did.
You have a cow on your
We
property?
got a cow, no, like to butcher.
Oh.
In our freezer, and we're just we went through a couple weeks, like, hanging it and cutting it up and freezing it and everything, and just getting the organ meats that are so good for you and everything. And we're just packaging it up, and we just had this amazing, like, thankful feeling. Just, we got this food.
Yeah.
And it's so amazing. Like, thank God that we got this food. And can you imagine what they must have felt like bringing in their harvest, a successful harvest, and how thankful they were, and how they prayed to God every year. And then when it didn't come, how they had to live with it.
Yeah.
And so they had to learn how to, I mean, it happened. Where they would lose it sometimes. And they had to learn how to live with it. And it's just, suffering does help you come closer to God. It makes you realize how much you do have.
Right. And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, suffering, I think especially in this day and age, we are so soft.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I don't get
Yeah.
my coffee in the morning, I'm gonna throw a fit.
Yeah.
No, not really.
Well,
but
no, I know what you mean.
you know what I'm saying though?
Yeah.
Like we are so in alignment with like our wants, and we just do it. And I mean, personally, it's so hard for me to like control my appetites. You know, like if I want something to eat, I'm gonna get something to eat.
And
you
it's
know?
so easy to get it.
Right, exactly. I mean, I just go to Walmart and get whatever I want. You know, and it's just on Amazon, I mean, you can get anything you want. You can just put in something and it's there. And you could just buy it, you know. But like for peasants, I mean, they had to make everything.
Yeah.
Everything was by their hand.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm kind of jealous of that. And I think like if we ended up having a time where we had to be self-sufficient, we wouldn't be able to.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like even with everything that we have been learning and trying to do and growing our food, so I'm not really sure how we would fare. Like
right. I mean, we'd be dead. I'm like, oh shoot. I mean, the thing I could do is focus on my soul, and that's about it. You know, like I can't just grow beans.
Go camp out at church.
No,
like,
you know. I mean, I'm like, I can't even camp. You know, so,
I know, right?
So I'm like, okay, well, I guess the soul's it, you know. But man, no, like we are, especially going through all of the suffering, you know, that we have. It's just like so prominent, you know, that God puts suffering in our paths for a reason. We are not made for easy. Nobody is, and so we just kind of have to embrace it. Sorry, it's cold in here. Also,
that's okay. It's just I just have cold hands and feet.
No, I'm cold, and I'm like, but no, like going back to the suffering. Yeah, you know, it's part of life, and I think the more we're comfortable with suffering, which is kind of an oxymoron, but the more I think we can benefit from it. So, yeah.
So, going through gaps was really great. Although I felt like I wasn't quite reaching that point. Like I was like, there's still somewhere further I need to go. And my cycles were still not totally there. And then we tried again and had the miscarriage in November. And then here I am, like, recovering from that. That hormone surge is something else. Like, you're kind of knocked out and just trying to function. I'm resting and I'm thinking, well, there's this naturopath who's also GAP certified, who, like, she's iodine literate. She knows all this stuff. She's like the most highly recommended naturopath by Dr. McBride herself, who started GAPS.
What is iodine?
Iodine, well, she knows how to treat people with iodine.
Oh, okay. So
after seeing my PA, I think she's a physician's assistant or something. Anyway, I had my checkup in July, my annual thing. And just because I was trying to get a referral to a specialty clinic to see, to start exploring maybe, to see if I had like cysts or something that were interfering on the ovaries or something like that. She's like, I think you have candida.
What is that?
Yeast overgrowth in the body. And I'd had it kind of reoccur in college, and then I'd had like when you're nursing, sometimes it can happen between like nursing the baby in their mouth and then on you. It's really uncomfortable. So I had that happen with Fernando. And but then I thought with GAPS that I had probably gotten it to go away, because it should help that regulate, especially when you're not eating like almost any sugars.
Yeah.
You're not really feeding it. And so when she said that, I thought, well, I've been doing GAPS for a few months. Like, I would have thought that it wouldn't be there. And I'm like, well, I guess it is there. I just don't really notice it. Sometimes I do. And then Dr. McBride in her book says that if you still have candida after a year of doing GAPS, so it wasn't even close to a year yet. But she said after doing GAPS for at least a year and you still have candida, sometimes you need to go to like a naturopath and see if you can do like iodine or something to help. Iodine can be a sign. Iodine deficiency can actually affect so many things in your body. But I was like, well, maybe I need iodine. I'm afraid that maybe I have a lot of heavy metals or something, because candida feeds on heavy metals in your body.
Oh.
Yeast feeds on heavy metals in your body. They eat it, but they don't go anywhere. So those heavy metals are in your body, right? The my provider prescribed me a like antifungal for the candida to knock it out. I never went and picked up the prescription because I thought, well, if I take it and I've got these heavy metals in my body because I still have candida, it could release them, and if they're not, then how am I going to feel?
Right.
I might feel really awful. And I had seen some stories about that happening to some people where they take these medications and it releases the heavy metals. And
so, sorry, where do you get the heavy metals?
Well, I mean, gosh, they're in your food supply, and they're in pesticides. They're in from processed foods. They're in vaccines. They're in they're kind of all over, really.
Yikes.
And our world there's a lot more of them, just from all of the industrialization of so many things and processing of foods. And so I thought, well, if I have heavy metals and I release them, I don't know if I'm going to feel that great. What if that's something I should really look into? So here I'm thinking about all of this after I just had my miscarriage. And I'm like, what if I email her and see if I can even get a hold of her? I know she's booked way out. And I'm like, Donnie, should I do this? He's like,
the gal
just do
who
it.
started GAPS?
This naturopath that the gal who started GAPS recommends. Dr. Becky Plotner. She's from Tennessee, I think.
Nice.
So I emailed her and 2 other practitioners that I didn't really know anything about. I wasn't sure about the other 2. I just thought, well, they'll probably be cheaper. Anyway, she got back to me right away, super fast. Donnie's like, well, just make an appointment. And she had an appointment for a month out. I'm like, no way. I mean, sometimes she's booked like 3 to 4 months out.
Wow.
And he's like, just do it. God's going to provide. This has been Donnie's theme through our whole marriage. God's going to provide. And he's absolutely right.
I love that, dude.
Single time, God has provided for us. When we need something, it happens. Like a week before my appointment, I'm like, I don't know if we can pay her. I don't know if we can do this. He's like, God's going to provide. Let's do it. It's going to be fine.
Wow.
Sure enough, we got an unexpected job like a couple days before, and it worked out.
Wow.
I had an appointment with her. I think God let this happen, and I had done all this paperwork to do my intake paperwork. This is an 1.5 hour long appointment.
Was this telehealth or was
Yes.
this? Okay.
So I talk with her, and she's like, before I even talk to you, I think you have an iodine deficiency. And I'm like, funny, because I was kind of thinking maybe.
Yeah.
And she's like, she reads off all of these symptoms. I just started laughing.
What are the symptoms?
Gosh, let's see. I'll go through. Some of them are a little bit personal, but.
Oh, okay. Well.
Like cold hands and feet, circulation issues.
Okay. Yeah.
I've had that since I was a teenager. Nasal congestion. I have had that really bad for like the last year. Every morning I wake up.
Interesting.
I'm like emptying out all this nasal congestion. She said, looking at me, well, Donnie thinks it's thinned out a little bit, but looking at me, she said, I have some swelling in my throat, which could be signs of goiter starting.
Okay.
And like brain fog, absolutely been something I've struggled. My memory has been going down from what it used to be.
Isn't that just mom brain?
I know, but like it's abnormal. Like I have a hard time thinking through stuff like I used to be able to.
Yeah.
Like
I know.
should be able to, like,
feel that.
I'll have to stop, and I'm like, this is frustrating. I can't even like stop to figure this out. So it's different. It's and dry and cracked heels, definitely something I've had for a long time. My hair's been falling out like crazy. It's weird, and thankfully it's thick, so
Yeah,
nobody
you
can
can't even
tell.
tell.
But like when I brush my hair, I haven't been brushing my hair because I pull out so much hair every time.
Interesting.
It's kind of freaky. Anyway, and then hormone imbalances. Your thyroid needs iodine to function, and your thyroid helps produce all of your hormones in your body.
Huh.
So if your thyroid is not getting the iodine it needs, all of your hormones in your body can be affected. Your brain needs a lot of iodine. Your eyes, your ovaries.
Yeah.
For men, their prostate. Every cell in your body uses iodine.
So do you get that? Should you be getting that naturally from like your food, or should you?
Well, you should, but there are, it's really fascinating. I got a book that she recommended by this medical doctor in the U.S. he kind of stumbled upon iodine and stuff, and he was kind of intrigued.
Yeah.
It's like, this is interesting, and came across another doctor who had been doing some research, and they started working together and started testing their patients in their practice, and just starting to find that more people in the U.S. are deficient than you would think.
Huh.
And low energy, weight hanging on or gaining weight, and cysts. I've had a couple cysts pop up out of the blue, and just all of these signs. Overall inflammation, my thinning eyebrows.
Oh, I didn't even
Like,
notice.
you wouldn't notice unless I pointed out. But yeah, that happens. Constipation.
Interesting.
These are all things that can happen. Endometriosis is somehow connected. People with endometriosis or polycystic ovary syndrome or insulin issues often have thyroid or iodine issues too. So multiple miscarriage because of the hormone issues. So she goes through this list. I just start laughing. I'm like, well, that's me.
Yeah.
And she said, well, we're going to start you on this protocol. And I just had the most hope coming out of this appointment with her because it sounded like the most practical thing I'd come across so far. And I start this protocol. It's very specific because when you start supplementing with iodine, you have to do it specifically because it causes detox to happen.
So what do you have to do with that? Like, what is the protocol?
It's a very slow increase of iodine over time, and you have to supplement with other minerals to help your body absorb. So like selenium, and you use unrefined, unprocessed Celtic gray salt that helps your body detox. So the reason I was reading this book that she recommended, I've just been blown away because the recommended daily amount's 150 micrograms of iodine.
Is it in pill form or is it?
So this is, it's liquid.
Interesting. Is
Yes.
it gross? Does it taste
It
nasty?
tastes a little bit weird, but I just kind of swallow it down like a shot and chase it with water.
Nice.
Like, yeah. It's not bad. It's not terrible.
Hmm.
I'm getting used to it, actually. So maybe my body's like, oh, I need this or something. I don't know.
So do you so you do the liquid iodine and you have all the other minerals in pill form, or are they also in
So
liquid?
the selenium I have to take once a day. It's in pill form. And then the salt is just another thing. And
Do you get those at Pilgrims or?
I got the iodine off of Amazon, and then I ordered some more off of another website online. I found a different website because I try to find alternatives to
Sure.
Amazon if I can.
Yeah.
And then the salt I had already bought since I had heard it was a good salt anyway, so I'd already had it on hand.
What's the difference between what is it called? Irish gray salt.
It's Celtic gray salt.
Celtic gray salt.
So it's just unprocessed. It's literally gray salt. It's very wet salt. It's full of minerals. It's so much stronger than your regular table salt and stuff.
Can you get it blessed?
You could.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, except that Father Eichmann was saying that you're not supposed to just bless all of your salt unless it's being used for specifically to bless something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I just blessed it because
I know, me too. I've done that with
gotta
everything.
exercise
And
my food.
Yeah, you have to kind of like ask him the reasoning behind it. He was getting into it, but it was in this group conversation. I missed kind of some of it.
Interesting.
So it is interesting.
Huh. So what have you noticed like different?
Yeah, I didn't notice anything because the first 2 weeks you don't start the iodine. You're supplementing the minerals and stuff just to help your body prepare.
Okay.
And then when you start taking the iodine, it starts pushing out heavy metals. It can push out parasites if you have them, and other, and also other toxins like bromide. So iodine is in the periodic table with some other things like fluoride, bromide, chloride.
Yeah.
And there's another one. Can't remember what it's called. These other things, especially bromide, if the body's deficient, it'll pick it up in thinking that it's iodine. The body has no use for bromide, and it's actually very toxic to the body. It can cause a lot of serious issues. And so as you're taking the iodine, it's pushing out the bromide, and it will cause you to kind of detox. So it's a slow process, 1 drop at a time, just increasing the iodine and slowly pushing out the bromide. And
it's
I
only
don't
1 drop.
1 drop at a time. I'm on 12 drops. I'm so excited.
Dang, girl. Woo. Every day you add a drop?
Every couple days, unless you have detox signs, you just maintain.
Interesting.
So,
so you increase if you're detoxing them.
And I don't want to like say too. I feel like I've said too much because you do have to be careful doing this.
Well, yeah, like disclaimer: don't do this unless you get like guidance from a doctor.
Yeah, especially because it will release the heavy metals and things. So you want to make sure you're not hurting yourself while you do it. So you have to be careful doing it. I mean, gosh, the first day I took it, I got this energy. I just felt so much better. A couple days later, I was just driving and I just felt happy.
Interesting.
And I realized I haven't felt joyful like that in a long time. And I just feel like so it really helps your brain function and mental health because it affects your brain uses a lot of iodine. So I realized I think this is something that I really, really need.
Yeah.
She said a woman on average needs about 22 drops, but I might need more. So I'm so hopeful as I haven't felt like this in a long time. I'm really hopeful that this is going to do something.
So do you feel, have you done any of your labs since for your NFP stuff?
I haven't. I'm waiting because I want to reach my maintenance dose and then just kind of see what happens.
Okay. Yeah.
See how things regulate and then do some testing. Hopefully in a month or 2 we can do that.
That'd be awesome.
Because things should improve once I reach.
Might have to have you back on to let us know like how you're feeling in a couple months. Wow.
I know. Yeah.
Dang, that's crazy. So like going from so I guess we should probably start wrapping up. I think it's been like 2 hours.
Oh my gosh, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I love this. Okay. So, and everybody who listens hopefully will love it. I think they will. But so going from like a very saturated lifestyle of processed foods and you know all the good stuff not good for you but tasty, how do you what would your advice be for people that are maybe looking into doing the GAPS diet or something similar to it? Like how do you think they should go about it, and like how do you think it would be what would be easiest for them, do you think?
I think there's 2 types of people out there. Some people need to literally just dive in and go all out and do it. And if you can do that, do it. Otherwise, I think you just kind of like it naturally happened with us, little by little change things. And just notice that it's not normal to have some of these things happen, and then your kids have some of these problems too, and then eventually these toxins build up and you have these problems. But
how have the kiddos reacted with GAPS? Like, do you feel they are better off for it?
Yes. Yeah. We immediately noticed they slept better.
Interesting. Okay.
Total plus.
Yes. Maybe.
They
Okay.
did sleep
Now
better.
I'm definitely gonna have to do it.
Yeah, but they did sleep better. Rosie still has eczema and some other issues going on, and we're probably going to start them on the iodine protocol too eventually.
Oh, they can do it for kids.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah.
Is it genetic?
No, it's just that there's bromide in so many things, and toxins in so many, and metals. Iodine can be displaced by like metals and certain metals and other halides. And so if you are exposed to these on a regular basis, which you are, I mean, your food is sprayed with bromide, it's in bread, it's used as a conditioner in bread, it's all over the place.
Yeah.
You can't get away from it. It's a flame retardant. It'll be in your couches and your bed and everything.
Dang.
Basically, some people are just going to have to supplement it.
Yeah.
Interesting. In order to get enough.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. What might be genetic is the autoimmune diseases associated with it, like Graves and Hashimoto's.
So mine, the TTP, that is acquired. They actually did genetic testing to see, because there are two types. It's either hereditary or acquired, and the hereditary is like you have like a 90% chance of getting it, when you're pregnant, which I did anyway. But mine was acquired, so the kids aren't liable to get it, of course. But yeah, so I was told that maybe going gluten-free might help, and I'm like, no thank you, because I love bread. So like with sourdough bread, I didn't know sourdough bread would. Wait, what? It
could have less gluten because the fermentation process, it can break it down.
Can you use like gluten-free flour for sourdough?
It's still going to have gluten in it.
Oh, okay.
But there are gluten-free ways to ferment, like gluten-free flours and stuff.
But I mean, like, so with GAPS, you don't have to be gluten-free, right?
Bread is totally off for GAPS, just while you're doing the healing process. It's totally off.
I've been like flip-flopping during this conversation. Like every single thing that you tell me I can't eat, I'm like, no. And then you tell me all the benefits and I'm like, yes.
Well, I think that's where you just need to do little things.
Try to like build up to it. Yeah. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. I think that maybe we should have like an army of ladies try the GAPS diet for Lent, and you can be our leader. How about that?
That sounds like
maybe I actually will probably do it. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it and hearing about it, I'm like, I'm kind of game for it. So we'll just have to see. But so one question I like to ask everybody that's on here: did you become more like your mom when you became a mom?
Yes and no. Sometimes I feel like I became more like my dad.
Huh. Interesting.
I see things in me that go both ways.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I do something and I'm like, oh, wow, that's so my dad. And then another day it's like, yep, that was my mom. It just depends.
Interesting. Okay.
It really depends, yeah.
Well, we're submitting this to Harvard eventually, so
okay.
Good to know. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for all that information, and I'm wondering if I can maybe put some of this stuff in the description, maybe, to see. I'll have to get it from you afterwards, but yeah, thank you so much for the information and opening up your heart and everything. Yeah. So let's say a prayer for moms, and just
absolutely,
to Our Lady. So name the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost. Amen. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary,
Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Amen. Saint Gianna, pray for us. And Father and Son and the Holy Ghost. Amen. All right. Thanks for being on here.
Thank you.
God bless everyone.